I've officially ruined my shot at being the cool, mysterious girl who doesn't even know who Harry Styles is and just like bumps into him on the street. I have decided to read Harry Styles' favorite books. I did not come up with this. Multiple people have filmed this video, but I've never had an original thought in my life. So here I am. If you couldn't tell, I am slightly obsessed with Harry Styles. It is a little bit embarrassing. I'm not embarrassed about it, but I probably should be. My adoration for him is fairly new, but it just sort of aligns with my aesthetic. Haruki Murakami's Norwegian Wood. I don't know what this book's about, so I'm gonna read the back of it. Toru, a serious young college student in Tokyo, is devoted to Naoku, I need to learn how to pronounce that properly. A magnificent coming-of-age story steeped in nostalgia, Norwegian Wood blends the music, the mood, and the ethos that were the 60s with a young man's hopeless and heroic first love. Sounds pretty good. You Get So Alone at Times That It Just Makes Sense by Charles Bukowski, which is a collection of poems that he has been seen reading. And then the other book is Love is a Mixtape by Rob Sheffield, which I have already read, but I don't have the copy because immediately after I read it, I gave it to my best friend because I was like, this book is so good, everyone needs to read it. I gave Love is a Mixtape 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Follow me on Goodreads. I read it in 2 days. It's a memoir written by Rob Sheffield, who worked for the Rolling Stone and interviewed Harry Styles himself. And there's this picture of him reading it shirtless, and it's really attractive. But that's not why I read it. Basically, it's his memoir about his marriage to his wife, Renee, and her young, unexpected death. And it also just talks about the music that they listen to together and the role that it plays in relationships, in life, in grief, in memories. Based on that book alone, he's got good taste. So I'm excited to read the others. Stay tuned. Not fall. I finished reading Bukowski's You Get So Alone at Times It Just Makes Sense. And I don't want to say that I hated it, but I did. I hated it. It pissed me off. I was just like, this is stupid. Like, why are you writing poetry? The whole time I was reading this, I just felt so weird. Bukowski's a weird, wild dude. Definitely an alcoholic. Definitely has a lot of sex with a lot of random women he deems forgettable. He's angry and seems to want to fight the world. His anger seems a little bit unwarranted. It's like, no, you're the asshole. He's also competitive with every other man because women are not even potential competition. Of the entire collection, I probably liked like 8 poems maybe. It's 300 pages. There were just a lot that like seemed pointless. I was like, I don't care about this. Why are you writing about this? It was like, this guy cut me off, so I was pissed. Or complaining about being a famous writer, and it's like, oh, you're famous, boo-hoo, it's so hard. Complain about being misunderstood because everyone thinks that he's just this drunk who just wants to like have sex with women. But I was like, okay, prove them wrong then. Like, of the ones that I liked, there were maybe like a line or 2 that redeemed them. Each man's hell is in a different place. Mine is just up and behind my ruined face. That's so good. That metaphor of his brain, like being his own hell. It's mental illness, isn't it? He has some redeemable moments. I'm like, oh, you have a heart? Like, you're actually a human? So this is one of Bukowski's later works. He's an old guy. He's been doing this for a while. He is kind of like reflecting a little bit on his youth and on his career. And I kind of get the vibe that he was a real asshole, like a real jerk in his youth. He objectified women, he was angry, and then I think that in his later years, you know, become this famous writer and people love him for the way that he writes. I think he has a very like distinct style. It's very like raw and vulnerable and shocking. He's written about his conquests with women and his crazy adventures being drunk, but now he's like, well, now I'm famous, but I'm not happy still. Supposedly, like, all these people love me, but I'm still alone and sad. So I think that, I haven't read any other Bukowski, but I think that maybe Bukowski got a little bit more sensitive with age. Knowing that Bukowski is Harry Styles' favorite poet kind of makes me like Harry a little bit less. Very self-deprecating, very self-aware, but like has no intent of improving. And there's this poem called Those Girls We Followed Home. And I'm just like, what the actual fuck? It's literally just this poem about him and his friends following these girls home. and describing their appearance and watching them like every day repeatedly. In junior high, he and his friends followed these girls home and like would watch them creepily. And then he says, now 50 years later, 50 years has passed and he's still thinking about these girls, still dreaming about those. And I'm like, okay, you weirdo pedophile, stop. First of all, don't follow girls home. Second of all, it's been 50 years. Maybe be like, I could have not done that. I was a crazed young man and then found this book written by a crazed older man. And I felt better because he was able to write it down. I'm like, is that what Harry thinks about Bukowski? I'm hoping that Harry doesn't relate to Bukowski that much, but I'm sure that he does. Too much ego is not enough. I mean, Harry Styles has the biggest ego of anybody. We know that. I like this one. It's called How's Your Heart? What matters most is how well you walk through the fire. He has these lines. I'm like, oh, he does have a heart. But a lot of it was just a little bit frustrating and pointless, and I didn't really get it. He has a poem called I'm Not a Misogynist. More and more, I get letters from young ladies. Girls, please give your bodies and your lives to the young men who deserve them. Besides, there is no way I would welcome the intolerable, dull, senseless hell you would bring me. And I wish you luck in bed and out, but not in mine. Thank you. Damn, Harry Styles could probably say the same thing about me. Overall, I gave Bukowski 1 star. I didn't enjoy the collection as a whole. I really didn't. I was quite bored and a little bit angry while reading it. But every now and then there would be these little lines or these little poetic pockets of humanity. My faith would be restored in him a little bit. I can see how Harry Styles would draw inspiration. Harry Styles' lyrics are very simplistic and vulnerable, but oddly, beautiful and touching. Bukowski does have moments like that. Like, they're not difficult to read. They're very simple, but he is able to find these complex emotions of human experience, and he's able to write about them in a way that is easily accessible. So for that, he gets a star. But would I read Bukowski again? No. Did I really enjoy it? Not really. The aspect of Bukowski being famous but still feeling misunderstood. Harry has said himself, like, he doesn't want to be just famous. Like, he doesn't want that to be his persona or the way that he's considered, because, there's like so much more to being a person than just being famous, and fame is so fleeting and something that is just hard to define and it doesn't last. And I definitely think that, Harry probably struggles with that. Yeah. I finished reading Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. This book was hella depressing and just like heavy. Okay, Harry, what's up with you and mental illness and death? Norwegian Wood obviously is the name of a Beatles song, and I can see why Harry loves it. It talks about music a lot. To be able to perform music for yourself is a wonderful thing. The prose was so beautiful. It has some beautiful reflections on life and death and grief and friendships and romance and growing up. I will say the women in this book, are all crazy. I'm sorry if it's insensitive to use that word. They're all so strange women, and he describes all of their bodies so oddly. It's like he's just this amazing man and they're just like at his disposal, and you're just kind of like, what? Naoku goes to a mental hospital because she is just not doing well. They have an odd relationship. Shit goes down, but by the end, Toru is just kind of lost and sad and grieving. He comes to the conclusion that death is not the opposite of life, but death is a part of life. Just because these people in his life have died doesn't mean that he can't go on living. What I've learned from this, Harry Styles, he's a well-read guy. He's got good taste in books. Dude's horny. I hate that word. I'm very much biased. Like, I want to maintain this like image of Harry that I have in my head. I'm like, he respects women. I'm so aware that the only image that I have of Harry is the one that he presents to the media and to the public. He's just a celebrity. Like, he's literally just a normal human being. Get that in your brain. And like Bukowski, for sure not my vibe, but I can see how he is appealing. I think the writings about sex and just being so open and vulnerable about that. I think, you know, Harry in more recent years, since going solo, has been much more open about that and open that, like, yeah, he's a normal human being and this is something that is a part of being a human and it's not like shameful or weird. He's a grown man. But I think it wasn't easy for him to get to this point. He grew up in the public eye, which, I mean, yeah, he was famous and rich and there are a lot of perks to that, but it's not without its side effects. He was completely objectified by the media and totally portrayed as this womanizer. He couldn't even like have a friend who was a girl without being suspected of dating her. You know, everyone was speculating about his love life and his sex life. He would get shamed for that. He was a teen boy who, it's normal for a teenage boy to do these things, but the media made him feel like he was doing something wrong. As he's gotten older, he's sort of matured and realized that, you know, the media's got it wrong. And I think that he's done a really good job of opening up about that and being vulnerable. That's what I'll say about those books. He's definitely horny, but I think he's also a romantic. You can see how important music is to him. I've officially ruined my shot at being the
cool, mysterious girl who like doesn't even know who Harry Styles is.
I've ruined my shot a long time ago. I used to have my lock screen as a picture of Harry, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to change it because like if we ever meet, that would be so embarrassing. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to like the video, drop a comment, subscribe to my channel for more videos. Bye!